Good afternoon from Bali, everyone. It's Nifa Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I'd like to talk about a big concept about time. And time is something that everyone talks about, but not a lot of people understand that this idea of time is really a human mental construct that we've created. Now, sometimes people have heard the whole idea is there's no time like the present, and might as well act now because there's no past and future, and people will remember that the past is the past and it's already done and the future hasn't arrived. And today I wanted to elaborate on this just a little bit to plant the seed in your head again and maybe help you understand and reflect on this just a little bit differently today. So the first quotation I wanted to start with is by Tracy, and this quotation says, "There is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing." Again, there is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing. And we would think, wow, well, what's the most important thing? In this, I would bring up the idea of timeless, eternal. And these are the things that are truth-based, right? So if we think about being kind, being compassionate, being loving, those are timeless and eternal if they are done with the proper heart space. Now, what has our mind turned into in our day-to-day existence has been about using the mind for thought, and then we start thinking of time. And so time started being reflected by either the setting or rising of the sun. We started looking at clocks, we started looking at calendars, and this all reflected time. And time also brings up a bit of fear, like, oh, I hope I can finish this before the sun goes down, or I hope I can finish this before the end of the week, or I hope I can do this. And so that's future thinking. It's not really being present. And if we think about this idea, this being present is very much about being in the space of now. Now is this moment. And I thought I'd get you to try a little bit of an exercise today to think about time and about how it has affected us, and has it helped us, and if it has, how? Because this takes some reflection. So imagine that over time someone is walking in a particular direction and you know where they're heading to, and you speak with them. Or another person, a wise person, speaks with the person walking in a personal direction. And this wise person says, I know this direction you're going. It's not leading to something good. This is not the right direction for you. You need to change your path. Now remember, to believe that, there has to be a certain trust in the person that's speaking, that's guiding the person to change the path, that they've only walked this direction. And when they hear this, this is hearing from a space that's beyond regular ears. This is a space of a true understanding, an awakening, we can say, of something really hits home. It's not because a dozen people have told this person, maybe a dozen people have, but this particular person, somehow it really hit home. It hit home in terms of really touched the heart that something needs to change here. And so the person changes direction. Now, do you know that this process is how we can get what's called a psychological mutation by Krishnamurti, I'll say. And you can certainly look at his work to learn a little bit more about this direction. A psychological mutation is not dependent on time. This can happen in an instant. If I suddenly realize that someone is hurting, to be compassionate takes only a moment. For me to think about it 5 days later and think, oh, yeah, maybe that person was hurting, that moment is lost. So that's not acting in the now, it's now acting in the past. We can look at this in terms of life. We can look at it in terms of business. We can look at it in terms of education. We're used to doing things in a particular way, and we keep on going in the same direction until someone comes along that we truly trust and somehow hits our heart, that there's truth in this, that makes us change a direction. And today I would love for you to sit for 5 minutes to reflect on this idea of, are you open to changing direction because of a truth that you're hearing? Because this does not take the time that we use in our day-to-day life experience of watching clocks, calendars, schedules. This is not the same mind. This is thinking outside of the box and understanding something much larger than that space of time, which is man-created. If you can reflect on this for 5 minutes and see, am I open to seeing things slightly differently? Am I open to creating a healthy mutation of growth in my own psyche, in my own thinking, in my own life experience. I'd love for you to do that right after this video. And I'd love to also change or finish, I'll say, this particular video with one more quotation. This one is by a very famous author, J.R.R. Tolkien, and I hope that this will hit home for you. This quotation says, "All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. And this seems so simple, doesn't it? Doesn't it seem simple to live in the now and to decide what to do with the time that is given to us? It's not as simple as people might think, or it's not as complicated as people might think, because it takes true action. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, Hanifa's in Bali, so that's the action she took, right? So this is the guidance that she's doing in changing her direction. It's not about the location that you're in. It's not about the space that you're in. It's about the thought, or I won't even put thought into it, the drive that comes from some other energy that flows through us, that directs our action. If we are listening to something beyond our own mind, filled with judgments and opinions and past memories and learning, we will be able to be receptive to direction. And am I in Bali because of that direction? I sure am. And it's got nothing to do with being in a different country, a different space. It has everything to do with being in a different space up here, and you can do this too, and I wish it for you. I wish you a fabulous day ahead, and I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.